Welcome everyone to the Port of Morrow regular commission meeting, February 11th, 2026. I'd like to offer a special welcome to our newly appointed commissioner. Very welcome. Thank you for being willing to serve. All commissioners are present. Joel's online. The four of us are here in the room. I'd like to go around the room for introductions, please, Brandy.
Brandy Warburton, Port of Morrow.
Port of Morrow, Citizen. Mark, Port of Morrow.
Lisa Middlestar, Port of Morrow. Ivan Hendricks, Port of Morrow. Karen Bennett, Bruce Lee, Foreman. Anna Brown, Port of Morrow.
Jeff Wilson, Port of Morrow. Jacob King, Port of Morrow.
Jerry Dash, Clean Water Commission Consortium.
Mike Hughes, Portland Fire.
Mercy Brigham, Port of Morrow.
Port of Morrow. Chad Snyder, Port of Morrow. Johnny Graves, Port of Morrow. Port of McKenzie, Andrew May.
Eric, Port of Morrow. And then online, we'll start with John Doherty.
John Doherty, City of Hefner.
Sam Tucker, Port Attorney.
Kyla.
All right, Kyla Baumgartner, Rock Solid Sand and Gravel.
Marty.
Marty Broadbent, Sam Irons, residents of Boardman.
You, Isabel.
Isabel Gonzalez, Oregon Heat Products.
Kirby.
Kirby Garrett, CFN Advocates.
Jessica.
Jessica Esparza, Port of Morrow.
And phone number ending 1180. Can you identify yourself?
Okay, all right. Thanks, Brandy. Before we go to commissioner appointment, I would like to add to the agenda under old business and update our strategic plan. So if we can do that, please.
Yes.
And then also maybe under new business, just a discussion of possible tour plan for the commissioners sometime in the near future for the next few months, please. Okay, so we'll move to commissioner appointments. There. Well, look at yours.
Yeah, I think I'll do one.
Okay, repeat after me, please. I, Jerry Reedman,
I, Jerry Reedman,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I am a resident and qualified voter of the state of Oregon and the Port of Morrow,
that I am a resident and qualified voter of the state of Oregon and the Port of Morrow,
that I will faithfully and truly perform and discharge
that I will faithfully and truly perform and discharge
the duties of commissioner of said port,
duties of commissioner of said port,
to which I have been duly appointed,
to which I have been duly appointed,
to the best of my ability and so long as I shall serve as commissioner of said port,
to the best of my ability and so long as I shall serve as commissioner of said port,
or until I am replaced or no longer eligible or capable of serving.
or until I am replaced or no longer eligible or capable of serving.
And that I will support the constitutions of the United States of America and the state of Oregon and the laws thereof.
And will support the Constitution of the United States of America and state of Oregon and the laws thereof.
Congratulations. Thanks, Jerry.
John, can we go back to introductions for just a moment?
Sure.
We have two people in the audience that we would like to introduce. We'll start with Donnie Griggs. Donnie has worked for the port for many years, but he changed roles officially on Monday to assistant project manager. Do you want to talk a little bit about what your job entails?
Yeah, so I'm Don Gary. We've been with the port for over 15 years now. Been in construction my whole life and looking forward to working with Jeff and Mark and Jake and everybody on projects. I'll be assistant Jeff as following up with all the subcontractors on all the projects and keeping things rolling. So that's what I'm looking forward to doing.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations. Thank you. Appreciate that. Oh, thank you.
And next, I would like to introduce Jared Tash. Would you like to stand up and talk a little bit about how you got to the role that you have taken on?
Sure. My name is Jared Tesh, and I'm still in a 7-day protest period, but I've tentatively been hired as the new managing director of the Clean Water Consortium. And I live in Umatilla, born and raised in Umatilla. Went away to school and other things and been in education for a while, but the last year or so, I started some consulting. I've been working with the city of Umatilla on several different projects, and most recently now here with Morrow County. So I'm just a few minutes down the road, though I'm very familiar with the area, having grown up here, and I have family in the area as well. So always been back many times, let's put it that way. I also spent 8 years in Pendleton as an assistant principal there. So again, very familiar with the region. Excited about the opportunity. I actually, the company I run is engaged to elevate. And again, just excited for the opportunity to, in this role, the short answer, pour pipes in the ground, but ultimately bring clean water to people who need it. And my whole life I've been involved in public service, and this is again just a continuation of that. So anyway, so I'm Jared, and pleased to meet you all. And I came at their invitation just to introduce myself, and so
I'm glad. Thanks, Jared. Welcome to the county. It's a job. So thank you.
And one more, I know you know Angel, but Angel has taken the position of interim manager of the Sage Center. So just wanted to let you know that.
Thank you. Thank you. Excellent. Okay, thanks. Okay, public comment period. People signed up. Did we do the conflicts? Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. I missed that. Are there any conflicts of interest pertaining to the agenda we have today for commissioners?
No, Pam.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. I appreciate the reminder. Public comment period.
There's no sense.
Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. Has everyone had a chance to look at the consent agenda?
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Okay, great. Do we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda? All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Got it. Aye.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Okay, legislative updates. I saw Kirby was there. Is Ryan with us today?
No, Ryan is in legislative meetings. That started at once, so she will not be joining us.
Okay, Kirby, please.
All right. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Great to see you all. And yes, Ryan asked that I also pass on her apologies that she can't make it today with the short session underway. I know things are crazy there, and I think she was in a committee hearing right now. So anyways, I'll dive into the federal side. I'll just give a quick general update. Last week, we had a brief, or at least relatively brief, government shutdown of 3 days. Ultimately, Congress was able to pass a $1.2 trillion funding package that funded defense, labor, health, human services, education, transportation, HUD, financial services, and state and foreign ops. There's another tranche of government agencies that were already funded in a previous funding package. But the shutdown itself all centered on the one remaining bill that they still have not passed, which is for the Department of Homeland Security. If you go back a couple of weeks, Congress had actually negotiated that funding package with DHS, and the House had actually passed that out of its chamber. So it had this broad funding agreement, and it seemed like it was all clear to sail through the Senate and get signed by the president. And then we went into the weekend, and there was the fatal shooting in Minnesota by ICE agents. And so when the senators came back to DC, Democratic senators refused to vote for the DHS funding bill without additional reforms for ICE. So ultimately, what they came to an agreement on was a 2-week continuing resolution for Department of Homeland Security, and then those original funding bills for all the other funding agencies. So that 2 weeks was supposed to give them some time to hash things out. That time expires on Friday, this Friday. So Congress is frantically trying to hammer out a compromise to either fund DHS or pass another short-term agreement to avoid a partial shutdown that would affect agencies like TSA. So we'll see what happens this week. But I will say, while that work continues on the DHS side, it is a very significant relief that Congress finally passed these full year appropriations or government spending bills for virtually every other agency. That's something that Congress was unable to do last year, and they instead opted for a year-long continuing resolution that extended existing authorizations. So that CR basically froze funding levels at what they were at, and it eliminated all earmarked projects from the bill. As a result of that, adding new projects in this current bill that they just passed was virtually impossible because all the room was taken up. So the good news is now they've wrapped these up. We're starting fresh in the new cycle with a clean slate. So on that note, Senator Merkley and Senator Wyden announced just last week that their solicitation for new congressionally directed spending or earmark requests. It's a quick turnaround. Requests are due at the end of the month. Fortunately, we knew this was coming though, so we've been preparing over the last month to put together information specifically for two asks. First, we are asking for money, about 1.8 million to make structural improvements to the face dock at Terminal 3. As we've talked about before, that will allow the dock to continue to receive existing heavy shipments of high, wide, and heavy cargo and other cargo shipments, but it will also expand capacity to allow bigger shipments going forward. And then second, we are partnering with the city of Ione again to help them put forward a request for about 1.8 million also to renovate the American Legion building to spruce that up and basically turn it into an incubator space for local businesses. So right now we're working with Walter and others on your team to put the finishing touches on those requests, gather all the letters of support that we need, and submit those projects in the next 2 weeks. From there, we will work with the Senate offices to try to get those funded. We have received very positive feedback so far on both projects, why we're putting them forward, and we think they'll be well positioned this round. So that's kind of the big stuff that's going on. I'll go ahead and wrap up. I know you've got a lot on the agenda as always, but of course, happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Kirby. Are there questions from the commission? And we appreciate the update. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I guess I'd like to have heard from Ryan. I understand she's busy, but it seems like the short session have things that surprise us sometimes.
Kirby, are you still online? Did he go? No, he's not. Okay.
Sorry. Yes, I'm still here. Yep.
Will you send Ryan a quick note and see if she gets done before our commission meeting? Maybe she could come back.
Yep. Happy to shoot her text. Yeah.
Okay.
I think I remember last meeting that there was some comment about possibility of the bill changing the CREZ program. If I remember right, reading our minutes. And so I'm really curious to see if that action was put into any legislation.
There is, and I can get a copy of that.
Yeah,
I can get a list of all of the bills that are impacting the court right now.
Yes, that would be good.
Send to you.
We need to advocate one way or the other. We need to know about it. Okay, thank you. Old business, we'll move right into it. CDA update, Joel or Lisa, let's get that update.
Well,
Joel,
I
you
can,
want to share the good news?
yeah, I do want to share the good
Okay.
news. I was unable to make it, but the CDA they completed the mutual release and settlement agreement, and I guess that's a big item. The other big item is Greg Smith resigned, and to follow up with, the board appointed Emily as interim executive director. I guess those are the big highlights, which are big ones. And then the board has moving forward with other issues, should have a business identification number, an EIN number to start paying salary soon. And then anything else?
One topic from last meeting, Joel, was
right.
the authorization from the Port Commission to help cover the Tapney bill amount.
Yeah.
Was there any motion that was made by the CDA board, particularly to use those funds, and secondly, to reimburse the Port of Morrow promptly when received?
We have developed CDA developed a form, an agreement to do that framework. Have you seen that, Lisa? Or
Yes, we did receive it and we are going to complete it. And as soon as it's completed on both sides and executed, we will transfer the money to the CDA.
A
It's
goal,
an agreement in 2-day increments. When they receive the money, they'll bill, after they have the money from us. And, they will pay, and they will pay. And we'll get the money reimbursed within 2 days of them receiving it.
I have a
discussion. Go ahead.
I have a goal of the CDA getting financing to cover that, apart from the Port of Morrow. I don't know if they've talked about that any more directly, getting a bank to cover short-term loans.
Yeah, that
I
was
would
my
think-
next question, Joel, is if that-
I would think that's very possible with the state of Oregon backing the repayment.
JD Tubby mentioned a bank in Salem that does this frequently. And I thought you knew who that night.
Well, obviously, the commission, I suspect, here would like to know about that going forward. It is gonna have more bills for the road project going forward.
Yes.
Yeah. Also on the road, project at CDA, the grant funds that were called into question or concerning, the $5 million additional on top of, what's the status of that grant? Do we know any more?
We do not know anymore. Joel, do you know any more about the UEC $5 million grant?
I do not. Haven't seen anything yet.
Okay, what do we think of that? Seems like that'd be a little concerning that we have a project that we've kind of committed to and we're needing funds. So any update we can get on that, it'd be great, please.
I'm supposed to see Robert Ecker Road tomorrow.
Oh, and thank you, Lisa, for filling in. Look what you got done.
Don't make us question anything, Joel.
It's not really done yet. That was a baby step, but
Okay.
we are close to being able to celebrate.
Okay, anything else on CDA? Okay.
I think, did we want formal?
Oh, yes, chief, I've got it. It's written right here.
Like you, Board of Fire, thank you, sir, for that happening. So, with the ongoing litigation, by Oregon Fire, basically versus all of us, on February 2nd, the judge moved to go to a trial. That date is currently being set. It's going to be between, April 1st and December 31st. And that's all we got.
Okay, that's quite a range, but.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Okay.
One more topic there, formal motion to pay Morrow County portion of the bills for CDA. Now that we've settled the lawsuit and we're acquiring the property, we said that we would pick up their share of the cost because they're now, they don't have any asset at the CDA at this point. We basically got Morrow County's 20% of those costs, so I think we should make a motion to formalize that.
So are they gonna still continue to be in the 5-member board
They have to.
unless we rewrite the IJA and then we'd only be responsible for 25%? Would that be?
I don't know. I don't know.
Interesting.
We know that any modifications to the IJA require a yes vote from every party, so that's been a problem all along.
And that was gonna be my next comment or question was IGA changes, we've identified other ones that we need to change, having to do with fiscal agent for the port, and things like that. So I suspect that could be part of it. Would they still have a vote at the table? To be determined, I guess. Would we have 40% of the vote then? Or would we have 25%? Okay, so anyway. So you need a motion to cover Morrow County's portion.
Morrow County's 20%.
Aside from Port Morrow, in addition to the Port Morrow.
Do we have that dollar account?
No. No, we don't really. Because. Okay, if you're looking at the legal costs for the lawsuit. I requested updated report, which was not provided to me. So, as of the end of November, the legal costs were 176,000. 40% of that would be 70,000, of which we've already paid 88,000. So we should have 18,000 coming back. As far as the ongoing operations, based on the current budget, which we already know personal services will be substantially less than what they budgeted for. But if that is the case, our based on those original numbers, our 20% was 53,000 a quarter. So our 20% would be 106,000 a quarter. But I really think it should only be the 53,000 by the time they reduce payroll and some of the other costs that should be going away for the CDA. But, until they revise their budget or come up with some other way, that's hard to say.
So it could be as high as 110, hopefully it's less when ongoing operations.
Well,
reduce.
the additional could be as much as 200,000 for the year.
So how soon do you need that approval?
Well, I think Morrow County needs to know that we are picking up their share of those costs.
And
At least the legal fees, perhaps.
we agreed to do that. I'm just, rather than just give a blanket, I kind of would like a tighter number.
I'm still questioning when we agreed to do that.
But we agreed to, yeah,
And the board we did,
yes,
somebody know me?
yes.
Somewhat by consensus, yes.
It's
Yeah.
still considerably cheaper than $1 million.
There's no discount for you. Hey, yeah, that was our discussion. We originally, many years ago, agreed to pay $1 million for that section of property. And that has not come to fruition, so during all of this litigation, we felt, had these discussions, that it was cheaper for us to pick up that legal cost than it was to allow us to continue to go on and not get the property that we get to continue to develop, so. But, so I have no problem, I'm just trying to get rather than just a blanket, yes, I'm trying to get a more solid number. But if you can't, then we've got to move forward sooner, I guess we need to look at it.
I think my biggest question would be, because we're paying their expenses and giving them a vote. I would like to see the IGA changed.
Or an IGA between the.
Does that mean the court gets 2 votes?
Right.
Because otherwise we're gonna be on an island, just Morrow County court by itself, without Morrow County support to table the vote.
Well, you have maybe a friendly board now, but you might not later. So,
At least there are.
there's something.
Well,
Trying to
get along.
Yeah,
I think once the property transfers happen for everyone, the board's going to have to sit down and figure out what their real opportunities are together as a board and what their obligations are. They have obligations in reporting to the federal government. You can work together on common infrastructure needs. I've been saying all along that there's an opportunity for me to say a story to tell, or we cannot do that. We can just decide that the CDA is going to fulfill the requirements of the federal transfer agreement and what's left on the 7 to 9 years of obligations there.
I think
But
this
no
is
matter
Joel.
what we do, right now, the IGA requires all 5 members to vote.
Right, we can't change anything about the idea right now, we can't change our voting.
This is Joel, I think we need to remember that Morrow County did step aside and allow Port of Morrow to take control of this property. They could have said no or said something different. I think that was the right decision by them, but it was also not necessarily one they had to do. I think we should be thankful for that.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And that was confidence in the board to do our job as economic developers.
Mhm.
So would a motion to pay up to a certain dollar amount at this point demonstrate, you know, even if we don't know the total number, say we set, I don't know, $100,000 for the time being that we would pay of Morrow County's expenses until we get a firmer number, would that be helpful, or what would be?
Just would that include these legal costs that have already been incurred? I mean, it's fine, I'm fine with that, I just want to know what that includes.
You're gonna have to help me with that a little bit.
I agree.
Please.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're saying we're willing to pay Morrow County share of the expenses up to 100,000, does that include the already incurred costs, or is that a going forward?
Well, if they have a bill that they need paid, I would assume would include the past. You're saying that the Port of Morrow, do I understand correctly, the Port of Morrow has prepaid or paid over for legal expenses by 12,000 or something close to that. But the Morrow County does not.
Correct.
Okay, and their amount is what, 70,000 or no, what was that?
It would be, it looks like about 35 to 40
Okay.
of the legal expenses.
I would say, in my opinion, we would need to pay whatever is due for Morrow County and cover that
Up to 100,000.
up to 100,000.
So
Okay, and the payment for ongoing operations, I guess that's what I'm trying to get at.
I see.
Because CDA needs funding for ongoing operations.
Okay, Rick actually motioned that, but it would be an amendment to that. Well, we don't have a second that, but anyway. I should want to amend it now. In other words, if we don't expend, make sure I understand this, so we don't expend up to 100,000, then above that, we go towards ongoing.
So Wood's calling, I'll do some further discussion. So again, we don't know what that cost is going to be.
No, we don't, no.
So what we need to be concerned about right now is the legal bills that need to be paid, correct?
Alright, paying legal bills.
Legal bills.
Operational bills.
Yeah, legal bills have already been paid, because we paid half of them and Port of Umatilla paid half of them.
Or Morrow County's portion.
We paid half of all of them.
Right. Which more than covered their part and our part, yes.
Right, and then some extra. Okay, so right now, we're covering payroll. I'll have an invoice go out by tomorrow to them for the cost of the payroll that we just did for Emily, until they can get things in place. I expect CDA to pay us. CDA has that much money in the bank right now, but when they incur other expenses, how long is that gonna last? They have to have funding to pay their bills ongoing. I don't know how much they're going to ask for to do that. Like I said, they originally billed based on the budget that they approved last summer sometime. But that included 3 times the payroll than they're really going to have going forward. So I would assume they could reduce it by that amount. And there are some other categories that I personally thought were a little high, but that's up to the CDA board to decide one way or the other.
And the port's already paid their portion for this quarter.
No, actually, we paid through the end of last quarter. I don't think anybody has paid for this quarter, but like I said, they still have money in the bank, so.
As part of the settlement, did it include an agreement to pay partners to pay into the CPA by any chance, or?
No, it stated that they would share the legal costs.
but only in legal costs, not ongoing.
Yeah, that was all that was covered in the lawsuit.
Okay,
You do color copy in your.
yeah.
So is Port of Umatilla still not paying their share in their vote the other day?
I've just heard rumors about that, I don't know.
I was at the meeting. The vote.
But as I said, Port of Umatilla and Port of Morrow were both paying up until the end of December, I'll say that.
Was there motion or was there action?
They weren't going to pay until the lawsuit was completely settled.
Okay, which it is now.
Well, until all paperwork was done, like everything.
We
was-
did get the final.
Yeah, it's done. It's,
Oh,
We got final yesterday.
yep, it's in your packet.
Well, that's good. We're moving forward. Thoughts on the motion?
Well, again, I'm trying to get, how much are we gonna, I mean, I'm uncomfortable doing open-ended, sure.
Okay, so leave it at the 100,000 to cover the legal and any ongoing until that runs out, and then you guys need to make another decision. How about that?
And by then, with the better grasp of what the operational cost would potentially be.
We hope so, yes.
So I would, reaffirm my motion as earlier stated.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll second it.
We have a motion to second to pay the $100,000 for expenses for Morrow County. Now, did that include Morrow County or Morrow County and Port expenses?
I thought the motion was Morrow County's.
Okay. All right, and that was your intent.
I believe so, because I think our expenses have been covered up to this point, correct? All of our legal obligations have been met.
We've already paid it, yeah.
Right, okay. All right, okay.
And has everything been paid back to us? There for a while, we had a pretty big.
No, they have not. And I made that inquiry on Monday. And I was told, she talked to Elizabeth, well, all I was asking about is legal costs. And I was told that Elizabeth told her that that request could not come from me, it had to come from legal counsel. Did that mean from her? I had no idea. I didn't pursue it any farther at that point.
And how much is that?
Oh, that's the 88,000 right there. No, the others, the tribes have told me many times that they will pay as soon as all of this is resolved. They're still questioning the match on the grant. I'm saying the grant clearly has more than a 10% match. They're like, why isn't it 10%? Well, you saw the grant when you approved it. I don't know where that will all fall either. But when you ask them directly, they always say, oh, yes, we will pay. But
I'm glad for the limit then. So we see actions. Any further discussion on the motion? All those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
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 Okay, it's unanimous.
And I will follow up. We need to rewrite an IGA. Because right now we've got an IGA that requires us to vote affirmatively to make any change. And it also doesn't require anyone to pay anything.
Right. Yeah, those are multiple reasons. Change life.
Correct.
Anything else on CDA update? Okay, moving on with the update, please.
Okay, we are trying to set up a meeting to go to meet with you in person again. When did we select? End of March, spring break week of March.
Yeah.
Is when we're going to do that. Kirby gave us 3 dates to pick from. We're selecting that one. PMWA is not until the end of April. So I believe we'll set up the meeting with Withia, and we will also set up the meeting with BRAC so that we can get some more information on the requirements from BRAC and meet face to face with them. So we'll be doing both of those a month from now. We are conditionally approved with WIFIA, so we can move forward with that funding. We're still pursuing private financing. Do you want to talk about that?
We had our investor meeting, yesterday with the current parties who hold our short-term notes. We have been told that the same parties are willing to lend us money again. But we're still evaluating the actual cost of one versus the other. The combination of the cost and the restrictions.
Right, that would be a restriction. You know, about that.
There's WIFIA restrictions, but the good thing that comes with WIFIA money is it's not considered tax exempt, so then there isn't as many restrictions on our use of property that was paid for with tax exempt financing. So there's advantages and disadvantages on both sides.
Okay. What is our timeline for requiring financing?
Next October 1.
The October 26th.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And there were questions by some of the investors, when were we gonna make up our minds? And David said within 30 days is what he answered them.
Okay. All right, yeah, one of my next questions there, so.
Which is really probably 45 days.
Right. Right.
The restrictions that were in negotiation with WIPIA, did that get anywhere, or did they kind of?
No.
But
No, they said there's no way, if we opened it back up, there's no way we'd be done in the next year.
we can live with the restrictions that WIPIA put on them.
We decided that we could
Okay.
until private came back and thought they could do it with no restrictions.
Yeah, full faith and credit. The difference is, without it being insured, they're a little bit more expensive. You know, they're what, 0.5% higher in interest rate, which isn't a lot of money on $100, but it's a lot of money on
Exactly.
hundreds of millions. Yes.
Okay. So tying this with the next category or next agenda item, CWSRF update, clean water, is that strategic reserve fund?
State revolving fund.
State revolving. Darn, I'm spoiled. State revolving fund. We were awarded that.
We were.
Okay, we were awarded a small, and by small, I mean $2.some million up front, because they won't do the full 50 million until the new plans are in place.
Sorry, I forgot that. Yeah.
So their intent is just to modify the current agreement. We signed and returned it. They had it signed back to us within 2 days. So we do have a completely executed agreement with them on the design portion.
Can you give me a quick recap on dollars borrowed up to this point and dollars that will need to be borrowed to cover our secondary water treatment?
Okay, well, we do need to look at these again to see if there are still valid numbers. And when I say still valid numbers, we are coming in under budget on some of the items so far. So we borrowed $273 million, of which we still have, I guess I could look at the cash thing, I think we still have 80 million currently towards the portions that we already have started or finished. We are going to borrow 50 million from the state towards the secondary treatment. In addition to that, 20, 30 million. I mean, we don't have a good final number on the secondary treatment. Okay, where the question comes in is how much capitalized interest. David is giving us some projections that have a lot more capitalized interest than we thought we had agreed to. So that's fine. That's why I'm waffling with the dollar number. We met with him yesterday. We meet with him again tomorrow afternoon. We just need to get a firm plan of when we think we could start making payments. So he had pushed it a little farther, thinking that would be better for our cash flow. I don't think that's gonna make industry happier to add more costs. But we just need to get in the nitty gritty. So the number he's gonna tell you is 500 million, but I'm hoping it's quite a bit less than that.
Good heavens, yes, okay.
But that's the number we started with, was like 5 or 6. Because the WIFIA money, even though they're willing to loan money for capitalized interest, they never include the capitalized interest in the dollar number, like on your award letter or anything.
Okay, thank you.
Are you okay, Kelly?
No. Having sticker shock. Buyer's remorse or something, I don't know what it is.
No, really, they're no higher than they were before. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say, these numbers we've been throwing around.
The only discussion is, how, because we're talking $75 to $100 million additional in capitalized interest, right? Which would be pushing it out farther and making payments out farther, which here at the port, we don't really want to do, because that will mean a higher rate. Right. And so we just need to get that with it.
So you're saying push it past the 30-year mark?
Well, it's already past the 30-year mark.
Oh, it is.
It's at like 34 years, but no. If you don't start making principal payments till later, they will be higher.
Right.
And we don't like that, and he thought he was doing as a favor.
I see.
So
So the number you always hear about is the $407 million, but
there's always been capitalized interest on top of that number.
So 30 days, 45 days, we'll know a lot more.
We're going to say yeah.
I mean, we either make a decision before we go to DC to meet with Libya again, or we go through that exercise and meet with them and then make a decision.
Thank you for the update. Any other questions? Okay, Morrow County Clean Water Consortium update.
Well, we had a meeting a couple days ago. We hired a new director. We are going to apply for some CIP federal money that will hopefully be able to work on the outliers, the wells, the part of the project that can't be hooked up to municipal, having trouble because all of our funding is only for municipal systems. So we're kind of looking through a HUD program, and we're gonna kind of fudge things around so it comes through a housing project instead of a water project. Problem is it's not for deepening wells, and it's income-based. Those are two drawbacks to it, but it's funding, and I think some people will fit into that category, so we pulled the trigger and they're going to write it, and we're supposed to be gathering letters of the support. What else did we do, Lisa?
I think that was pretty much it yesterday.
Yeah.
So we will continue moving forward with the projects that we have. Currently, Irrigan is still exploring their test wells, and Aaron gave a little report yesterday about the requirements for a NEPA on those test wells or not. So I'm not sure that he got a clear answer, if he just didn't like the answer he got on that, because I think that they will require NEPA on the test wells.
And then we did get some funding through the CREZ board as well.
Yes, we did, and I asked Marta to give me I don't believe I've gotten it yet today. But
Do you remember what was funded? I was.
I do, the same as last year, $400,000 was awarded from the CREZ to board, is that right, Aaron? 400,000 to the Clean Water Consortium. Okay.
And 20% of that
was 80,000.
Was 80,000 that could be used to help pay for staffing.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry, that's right. Because they were restricted, because the Amazon contract agreements, the CDC funds that were initially paid for breaking ground on Amazon data centers was $5 million per facility. Those are restricted for capital improvement projects, and so they were able to give them some funding that would provide for operational expenses.
Follow question, please. And earlier. When are we gonna get some pipe in the ground?
Ask our manager.
I'm in a 7-day protest period.
I feel like we've done an awful lot of talking, but I just don't feel we're any closer than we were a year ago. So I'm hoping we'll get somewhere soon. I mean, we've got money. How much money do we have?
Upwards of 3 million or something in clean water.
More than that, I think.
Yeah.
Need to be, or
Yeah.
you step someplace else.
The OHA dollars.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Every day we wait is money they're spending somewhere else.
And we have
And
not received
and we've not received a report from them.
Jared, you have lots of things on your plate already. Yeah, so, well, support any way we can, but kind of see where we're at. Moving on, unless there's more on the Clean Water Consortium. SIP IGA with the county. I know a little bit about that. I talked with David. I did convey, Commissioner Sykes, USC Chair. I gave him the update that the commission wished to meet and hold with the Board of Commissioners. And so he is going to submit a Zoom poll for hopefully after the first week of March. But maybe we can get together as a.
Thought it was already out.
It was already out.
Oh, was it out?
Yeah.
It was out, so please respond. And Jerry will get you on the list.
So it appears, I think I talked to Commissioner Sykes yesterday. I think it was yesterday. That maybe they missed our red line version that we sent back to them, or I don't know. So I still think it's a work in progress that we can probably continue to get moving forward.
I will go back to my documents and I will send the red line version out to you and to the county commission. And if you remember, you've seen it already, but you got a revision to their draft they sent us on SIP. Then, and I modified that. Then I took the enterprise zone agreement, which we've both been agreeing to for several years, and modified it to be a SIP. So I continue to say this is our governing document. This isn't our spending document. Let's not get hung up on the spending while we're trying to figure out how to be partners. So that's where we're at. But the doodle poll is out. I know I already responded to it. You haven't seen it?
I'll look.
I think it's came out. I think I saw it.
Okay, I'll reply. Okay, any other discussion on SIP IJ for the county? Okay. Moving on, South Morrow County Water and Transportation Infrastructure Development Amendment #1, Oregon Business Development Department.
Okay, so that is the funding for Ione and Hefner. And the amendment asks, well, it makes two amendments. One, it added half of a sentence to the project description saying it, housing improvements, I think. And the other, it sets a firm date for completion of June 30, 2027. Those are the two changes.
These are amendments that came from the state
Yes,
that are required.
yes.
Thank you.
And we would ask you to sign that amendment.
Need a motion to approve the amendment, I assume then?
Yes.
I still move to approve the amendment. Joel?
Okay, thank you, Joel. All right. I have a motion and a second to approve the amendment stated previously. Any discussion, questions? All those in favor of the amendment, please say aye.
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 Unanimous.
And to bring Jerry up to speed, the state did send us a letter holding back 50% of the total funding on that project. Or met, the court decided to pick that up.
Yeah,
Okay, all right,
he was here.
Okay. all right.
And both communities thank for them.
And the doodle from Valerie came out on Friday the 6th.
Okay, I'll let that reflect how often I look at my emails. Board appointments. This was something that was delayed from the January meeting until we had a full complement of commissioners. This has to do with committee or other board designations for attendees. So we have it somewhere in our list of things.
Yeah.
Stuff back to that.
Right. Okay. Done by motion.
Yes.
How does the commission feel about these?
So Mr. Chair, if I would move that we keep the existing assignments as presented, replacing Danny with Chair.
Okay. I would second that. Discussion or questions or comments or. I'm making this awfully easy. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
Aye.
All right. Okay, thank you. All right, next. Any other old business? I guess I did add to the old business strategic plan. Lisa, you can give us an update on that and maybe a timeline possible.
I will, as you know, we talked about strategic planning in the fall. We found out that the state was going to change the amount of money that they were going to provide to courts on that
Okay.
planning process. Can you hear Joel?
Yes, I can.
Okay. All right. We thought that it was going to be a significant impact to our budget for strategic planning. It's not. They're looking at going from 50 million up to 75.
That's
50,000. So 50,000 to 75,000. So John and I talked earlier, but I think that we just move forward with putting out a request for proposals on strategic planning and an economic impact analysis, and see if we can't get that accomplished, and we'll apply for the $50,000 from the state of Oregon. Perhaps they would increase that based on their timeline, but it's going to be at least April before they make any more decisions. So they've got 200,000 in their account right now for planning. So I'm fairly confident that we will be successful in that.
Who's they?
Business weekend.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
So
Yeah.
how does that have been involved in one of those I mean, do we have workshops? Do we just add our?
Significant amount of workshops, Kelly. It's a long process. We bring in members of the community. So, and we'll probably end up with a different contractor than we had last time. I would always suggest that we try to get a different one, just so we can get a different look at it. But no, it'll probably take 6 to 9 months.
Having been through that process, it is a viable process, extremely valuable, give you that roadmap of moving forward. And with the different partners involved, you get more information outside of just core partners themselves. So, I with, I don't know if we need to make a motion, but, I would support going out for RFP for our strategic plan. And, what was the other one?
Economic impact analysis.
I'll
second that.
Yeah, motion and second.
Oh.
Then. Any other questions? Or my only comment would be that I think time is of the essence. The sooner we can do these things, the better planning.
I think we got behind the ball with COVID for a couple of years. That kind of changed a lot of what we were doing.
Our last one was 21. So,
And every 5 years, that puts us on schedule.
yeah, we are on schedule.
We're on schedule, but I know that we had started talking about it, but that was during the zoo. So.
No, it's our focus has changed considerably from this up first one. So we can definitely.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor of the motion as stated, please say aye.
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 Okay, it's unanimous. Moving on to new business, STAO annual conference report, please, for those who attended.
You want to start, Kelly?
Kelly cheaters. You won the challenge. We had a little murder mystery at the end of the thing, and we won it. So.
Her table had one of the actors at it, so I think they had some insider in that.
I had to ask her, I said, are you all sitting next to her? You could ask any question you wanted to, and they had to answer you truthfully. So I just looked at her and I said, am I sitting next to a murderer? Might have given it away a little bit, but.
Straight to the point.
But the conference was good. I attended several of them. The only one that I missed was the port one, the caucus for the port, and Lisa was there, so she can talk about that one. But went to more training on public meeting laws, and I sat with Eileen and we went through the budgeting 101 or whatever it was called, and there was all. I think they need to change, we need to inject some help with them putting on their next conference or different things. It seems like it's kind of was, I had a hard time getting excited about going to some of them.
In different topics you're talking
about. Yeah, we need different topics. We need to suggest something that fits us or is a little more, I don't know. And it seems like there's some of the topics that are done every year, and they're kind of redundant, but it was good other than that.
And it's, I guess, for the conference itself, it's probably rather difficult because some of the classes I sat through, it's like, oh, how many times? But we've been through that several times. There's a bunch of new people coming on.
That's true.
Never been through it. So it's trying to balance that thing. But for example, the first day was the public meetings law. And the next couple of days, there were questions that had you went to the public meetings law, you wouldn't be asking these questions in these other meetings. So it's trying to find that. One thing I will say, that was reinforced, that every 4 years, if you're reelected, you have to mandatory take public meeting law. It's not an option, you have to take it, so, as a board member, so, and it's well worth this time to take. This is my, I don't know how many times, but yes, I even learned that you have to take it.
That they finally got their online class approved by the state.
Yes,
So there's another option rather than just going.
yeah, you don't have to necessarily go to the conference, but you do have to take the public meeting law. It is a requirement if you're reelected every once every 4 years, so.
And we get kind of a break on our insurance if we sign up for some of those other things as well. I forgot, there was a breakdown of it, 2%, 5%, and 10% as a whole if everybody signs up in business taxes.
And I think we've done some of those things, haven't we? Every round.
And so since our annual premium is now over 900,000 after the discount, it's worth the time.
Good, yeah.
Any other takeaways?
If it's a percentage.
Yes, the opening session on dealing with the press. And my big takeaway, and I was able to locate the slides, is providing the first person who answers the phone with kind of a little checklist if Lisa's not available, okay. Yeah, but it was Corey Saban who used to report for ABC, and he had people were voluntold to come up and almost without exception, somewhere in there, they'd say, you're in my personal space. I mean, he was the obnoxious reporter in front of everyone. And, it was pretty fascinating.
Well, the tactics used and
I've been through a lot of these trainings and what he said was spot on. Lisa and I talked about it, that they're gonna get a story. Whether it's your story or the neighbor's story, they're gonna get a story. So sometimes you're better off getting ahead of it as much as you possibly can by giving them something to work with. It doesn't have to be everything, but yes, every one of them I've been to, they're like, and the other thing is you just don't want to go to the world if somebody buys deep by the barrel. It's a no-win. It is a no-win. It was very informative. We can't always get out ahead of things, but it would be nice if we could. I know as a commission, we're like, can't we just say something and at least get our version out? We're there, but again, sometimes your legal counsel is saying that.
And you're seeing a lot more of us responding with 3 sentences instead of no comment. So we're trying to do that as well as getting you'll start seeing a lot of new stories out of communications and workforce development. So you're gonna start seeing some other good press report. Brandy, takeaways?
I would agree, the keynote speaker was amazing. I thought his best example of you tell your story or somebody else is going to was municipality, I can't remember, water district that had a small leak that wasn't that big of a deal, but you know, there's the person out there in the hazmat suit cleaning it up, and of course somebody took a picture and put a story about how this is awful, you know, we're all gonna die because this is, so I mean, that's true, that's what happens. So I thought that was great. I went to a conflict one that I thought was really good. Conflict resolution was really good. Yeah. Everything, you know, that not always the lawyers tell me what you can and cannot say.
Marcine, any other comments?
Like Brandy's saying, the conflict resolution, I think the instructor that was really get you involved, and it was, you know, role playing. I think that was a big thing this year, like having role playing even at the keynote speaker when he was going through those things, and you could see how they could twist your words around, you know, and come up with a different story. So, but yeah. I agree with Kelly though. There was a couple of times that I was like, usually they were very good about the 4 blocks had an HR, a board, a budget or finance, and then like the safety. Now the 4 blocks seem to be a little bit, and there was a couple of times that I was like, I don't really have anything that clings to me, so where am I gonna go to?
Yeah, that's where I felt too.
Tim?
I thought the National speaker was pretty good. But I went to a safety class and it was just like the same thing you had 100 times, and that speaker was in the other classroom, so I wish I went in that room, because he was doing another class right after he spoke, and the people came out of that, so it was really good. The AI class was pretty good, learn how to use it for AI, but you know, it's only 7 to 8%, because you gotta go back. And make sure what AI is coming up with is actually what you want to say. Overall, it's pretty good. Usually get, every time I've gone, you get some classes that are good, and you get some classes that are like, people say it's like, and then before, but it's good.
I went to public meetings as usual. I went to several hours of the verbal jujitsu class, which Rick says he's been through. He could probably give that training, but just about ways to talk to people and round them right back to the only topic that you are there to discuss, instead of getting sidetracked and getting people angry. So I thought that was a really good class. Ports Caucus, it is always interesting to hear. And of course, they went from the back of the room to the front where I was sitting, and I mean, we're the biggest port that goes to those meetings, so our billions are just something that they don't hear about. And they, you know, they've got an $18 million problem that they need to fix, or a $4 million problem that they need to fix. Hood River's not getting money for the bridge anymore, so they've lost their revenue there. They've laid off half their staff. And the other class I went to that we probably don't really want to talk about here is succession planning. That was interesting, just about working on 5 or 6 year plans in the future and what that might look like. So something that we probably need to discuss sometime.
I suppose we're gonna be notified of that at the correct time.
Right.
I'm gonna cancel that. Too.
You talked about all of your positions, you know, look at every position, where do you have, you know, what do you, in your opinion, what was the outside sheet? What's the worst one, or what's the one in your opinion would be the hardest to fill? And then you start thinking about, okay, in the next year, what should I get done in the next 2 years? And I mean, every position.
Key skills or key holders of information.
Absolutely.
Which we're starting to backfill with consultants. We had this discussion before the meeting, but yeah.
All right, well, thank you for the update. One good question, circling back to one of the original topics. Does Jerry need to do meeting law?
Yep.
Now he's appointed.
Yes, we have to do it once within his term, and I already have it all. He'd have to send it.
Okay.
Now that's his email, correct?
Well, this was really interesting on that. Like, can you get done with this? Like, what did I do? Why am I doing this?
Well, this is a smart thing to do.
Yes.
Okay, there you go. All right, we're gonna move on. BPA lease purchase program. I mean.
Okay, so back in 2012, we entered into an agreement with Bonneville Power, and we did what was considered to be a lease purchase program, and we financed, I should look before I came in here, but it's in excess of $1 billion over that period of time of improvements. And about 3 years ago, they got an additional, my words are escaping me, allocation, whatever, from the federal government. And they thought they really weren't going to need to use that anymore. And so they came up and talked to us and said, actually, the extra $5 billion is not going as far as they expected it to. And as they looked at their 20-year projections, they need to revamp the lease purchase program. So I think I erroneously reported to you a year ago that we were losing two of those. So what our current agreement is when we do a new transaction and it's a standard amount, which means it's under $150 million, we get $125,000 fee up front. And then if it's short-term financing, we get 30,000 a year, and if it's long-term financing, we get 10,000 a year. And what's involved with that is signing your name, anywhere from 2 to 24 times a year, it depends on the activity. Last year, I thought they were refinancing 2 of our issues, and they decided to go with Idaho instead of us for the 2 entities, Idaho Energy something. We're the 2 entities that do this program for them. But actually, they weren't refinancing the whole issues. They were refinancing the payment that was due September 1st, is all they did. So we didn't lose our $10,000 apiece. So we still have our $70,000 a year. We still have those issues outstanding. Now, this year, they want to refinance another piece, and they issued us a letter of, anyway, how they interpret the agreement, and that is the first item under your new business tab. And they're only addressing another refinance, and it's a refinance of 2 payments, but they're considering it one new issue. And so it shall include a lump sum participation of $125,000 and an annual participation of $10,000, because it will be a long-term issue. In addition to that, they pay our expenses. So generally speaking, Sam, Tucker, or Molly Hassenbank, they review our documents. They're not actually the bond attorneys. The bond attorneys are generally ORIC, and they get paid directly. When we get Sam or Molly's bill, we bill that, and they pay us back. So we want to move forward with this. The other thing they told us when they came out here was they do potentially have another construction project that they want to do. And so they're hoping we're still willing to partner with them in this process. So I don't know if we need action or we just need consensus that that's okay to proceed the way we have been. The other thing I indicated was if we were doing the new transaction, we needed to update the authorized signers. Because right now we're down to 2 of you, and sometimes it's harder to find 1 of 2 than it is 1 of 5. When they need a signature on something. The kind of things they need signatures on are if they take money out of the trust account to do anything other than pay interest. If it's a bill for the trustee, but or when we submit our invoices once a year, then we get a requisition, and the requisition has to be signed and sent to the trustee to allow payment of those. The other thing that occurs is if they change the security on any of the debt, like, oh, well, we're no longer securing this with this set of lines, we're securing it with that one. You know what I mean? And we rely very heavily on our legal counsel to make sure that it's acceptable to do whatever they're asking us to do. We report this debt. It is conduit debt. It is in no way our responsibility to pay. We report it as a note disclosure in our financial statements. It is not reported on our balance sheet.
Does it affect our financial position at all?
No.
For ratings or anything like that? To say that we have that money out of them?
No, the thing that would happen is if they ever defaulted, our name would probably show up in the newspaper. Because the debt does show as Port of Morrow, Bonneville Power Administration, but we are top billing on the debt.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah, Sam, go ahead.
Eileen is right. We have commissioners who weren't a part of that initially, so maybe some general background is appropriate. Amazingly enough, a good deal of the Northwest Power Grid is owned by the Port of Morrow because the statute that says BPA can do these things says it cannot own the infrastructure. So the Port of Morrow, and in fact, years ago, some friend called me up from down in Southern Oregon and said, "What's Port of Morrow doing in all these boxes out here that they're putting things up?" The Port of Morrow owns the system, but we own the system. We sell the bonds. The BPA guarantees that it will pay the bonds. The BPA revenue is not subject to a shutdown. It's not subject. If the government doesn't pay its expenses, the BPA still makes its money. It is not subject to the typical requirements or losses in connection with the system. And they will, if in fact those bonds aren't paid, the BPA system no longer exists, and we're all in a heck of a lot of trouble. This was a real nice thing for them to do. They picked up everybody they could pick out. They picked out the Port of Morrow and had us sell $1 billion worth of bonds with them over time. And then recently they decided to diversify. It's unfortunate that one entity is doing all this. So they got the Idaho entity involved too. I was afraid that they were just going to go with the Idaho entity and never come back to us. Fortunately, they're coming back to us. It is really, it's an honor that BPA would select us to do this. And our risk is, as much as humanly possible, minimal. So that's the situation. It's a moneymaker for us. It's an honor to do it. And when it used to be that we would be sent back to New York City to close these things, but regretfully with Zoom and DocuSign and stuff like that, they don't send. I spent time with Gary Neal and one of the commissioners a couple of times in New York City while we were closing these bonds. So anyway, hope that background helps. Congratulations, Port. You own the Northwest Power Grid.
Thanks, Sam.
So is that 125, is that per year? Is that a one-time payment, and the 10,000 is a one-time payment as well?
No, the 10,000 annual.
Annual.
Eileen, I thought that the 125 was one time and then the 10,000 per year is annual. I don't know.
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
You know, when they come to the point that we need to do this, we're gonna actually have to approve a resolution authorizing.
Okay.
So I think just consensus at this time that you know this is going on, because it would be pretty awful of us to pull the plug at the last minute and leave them scrambling.
Is it the consensus of the?
Yeah.
Commission?
Yeah.
All right, thank you. There is consensus. Thanks, Anna. Thank you, Sam. Appoint budget officer, approved budget calendar. Eileen, you're up again.
Okay, well, I guess I hope that you appoint me as budget officer again, and the draft budget calendar is in the book. And I'll go ahead and dress up, like Howard said, we were sitting next to each other in the budget meeting. And I leaned over to her and I said, "Did we do this last month?" And she said, "No." So, your budget committee members should also be in the book. None of them expire this year. Generally speaking, we meet in April and May, and then have our budget hearing as part of the June meeting. So that we can get our budget approved and authorized before July 1. If you want any changes to the budget committee times or dates or anything, it can either be done now or it can be done, on an ongoing basis if you want something to be different.
No, I can't go ahead. I was gonna ask about the audit committee versus the budgets. People. We approved the audit group of being Kelly and Joel members. So are we covered then?
No,
That's-
No.
that's-
no, you need to,
So we're.
appoint is the word, I got that. You need to appoint a budget officer and you need to approve the draft budget calendar.
Okay.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would move that we appoint Eileen Hendricks as our budget officer and approve the budget calendar as presented with the ability to modify it if needed.
Do we have a second?
I'll second that. This is Joel.
It's motion. Thank you, Joel. Motion by Rick, second by Joel to appoint Eileen as budget officer and approve the budget calendar as presented with the ability to modify as required. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay.
And you're good on the budget committee for the 26-27 year?
Oh, we didn't change the date. I'm sorry.
Oh,
That's still good.
I don't know if we have to approve that.
No,
Well, we're specifically listing people's appointee. And Mike McNamee is Joe's appointee.
Right. So are you asking us to replace those?
I'm not, that's completely your decision, but I think you need to make sure that you want to or not.
So is it our responsibility to contact the people that we have put forward?
No, I'll send an email to all of them.
My question would be, Jerry, do you have somebody else in mind if you would?
I wouldn't think so at this moment in time.
But it now is your problem.
Yeah. Opportunity. Yeah. I'll live with what's on the page.
All right, thank you. Moving forward then. Any other new business? So I guess I have a tour plan for commissioners sometime. We could, I just want to bring that up, something I'd like to go do. There's so many different improvements on now with the new commissioner. It would be an excellent time to plan one in the next month or two.
We just want to stay in the industrial park, we're gonna take a tour of the farms too. Do you want to make a full day out of this?
I would say, because we brought the farm along and had moved things around, I would feel a lot better now. I mean, I went out on that tour before the transfer, or our purchase, so I think it would be valuable to go through that again and see what's changed and where we are.
Would you like to do that sooner than later?
I can't do it before, well, after the 1st of March.
That'd probably be better anyway, we don't know what the weather's gonna be like for us to live. I think we'll get winter sometime, I'm not sure.
It'll be like the first one.
17th and 18th.
So sometime in March. Yeah,
Sorry.
sounds great.
Okay.
We can,
Okay,
All right,
okay.
we'll propose a few dates.
but we don't want to do it before the commission meeting. We could do it like 10 a.m. before the commission meeting.
We have the bus that day.
Who's got the bus?
I have the bus that day.
I think we can take a break from. Yeah.
She's already scheduled.
I scheduled it a month ago. For 5 days that week.
I don't know, I guess it depends what works out best for our commission, so
Sometime in March.
sometime in March.
We'll throw
Pick a day, give
we'll
us some
throw out
more.
a few dates.
Exactly.
I think we've been blessed with our weather, so,
It's been really nice. Today was a great day for.
yep.
Okay, so thank you. Yeah, we have many dates.
To be decided.
Did we decide on the date, how dates proposed to complete, the airport, Farm 6? Yep, East Beach, everything, the whole nine yards, please. Okay, any other new business? Staff reports, please, projects update.
Okay, well, I think there's some pictures, right?
There's a whole lot.
There's a whole lot there. So Jacob, Jeff, and Ken will be going through the project. And they've kind of gotten divided up. I do want to let you guys know, we're gonna have a secondary treatment update next month from Aqua to give us an update on 90% completion, which is scheduled for April 1st. So they're on our schedule for next month.
Great.
So,
This here's the flood mitigation project. Right now, they've actually exported about 145,000 cubic yards of dirt to our site, about 2-3 miles away. The mass excavation's complete at this point. They're just doing a little bit of site cleanup. There's a little bit of concrete being demoed down by our well house. Other than that, they're planning for hydroseeding by in the next 2 weeks. So this site should be pretty well hydroseeded and completed. You have a little bit of rock that they're gonna place north of the site. And just to update, Mark did direct me to have Tim, our new engineer, go over there, and he's did a base evaluation of the bridge on the top end of the project. So hopefully between Jake and Clint, they'll get an update in the next 2 weeks on the assessment of that bridge.
Okay, thank you.
We also went over and did a well test at one of the existing wells, something that we could use for the whole site, and those test results came back pretty well. So we might be able to use the existing well to get more
Wonderful.
service.
So is that the bridge that goes up to the water tank? No, that bridge is actually fine. There's no issues with that bridge. That bridge can handle very heavy loads. It's the bridge at the very south end of the project, closest to it.
It goes to the Wrangler grounds and there's that little house that I know too.
it's on our property.
Yeah.
The Ranger grounds and too. Somebody else's house.
It's not a part of the flood mitigation project. It was just something that Mark asked that I get Tim over to get a basic evaluation of it. Tim would need.
A question on next steps then, once this is completed and FEMA obviously approved this project to remove the property out of the floodway, floodplain, how do you get that designation changed?
FEMA will have to make that. I mean, and Anderson Perry, so the engineers have recorded this. They'll take it to FEMA, I think, go through that process.
Okay, and then, so that will open things up for, we can then modify buildings or build something around. Wonderful, okay, thank you.
So this is the Lamb Weston project, so we're getting all the main line installed. Today actually is going in the ground, working on this for a little over a week. Next weekend we do the tie-ins, we have 5 tie-ins that we have to do in a real short period to, one of the tie-ins involves their fire system, so we gotta knock that one out real quick, because they're down during this period, but they're gonna be doing hot work inside the plant. So we don't want to have any risk with fires and stuff, so we should have this project finished up next week. But then next week, there might be a little bit of cleanup after that, but all the time and stuff will be done.
Let me just add, this is a pretty major replacement of a historically problem child of pipeline. I think over the last 3 or 4 years, Tim's been pulling his hair out over.
We've had to fix one. Basically, it's over time, it's been hammered and there's fractures in it. And before we just get small leaks, but the last 2 have been pipes, not full sticker pipe going out of the ground. And then having to get fixed and get it back up running 4 or 5 hours, so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, did you say that was fresh water?
Yes.
Okay.
See, there's a bottom picture there is the new vault that we just did for tying all the different waste connections to get that over to the new south lift station. So that should all be completed within a month.
do a lot of work on pipes and changes and improvements and things. That's impressive.
So this is the Aragon, incubator site. We went over, we volunteered to do the mission for the site. We had an opening at the beginning of January, so we jumped over and got that done. So now short of what's happening, we come in and start doing their duty with the stuff. Well, five, this is, the well, we had the issue with, we had a failure in the well, we plan Weston got brass over their facility. We just got that reinstalled last week, so we'll be getting that up and going, and then the cement work on the left side is the lid for the vault that we put on top of that vault. These are some new wastewater meters we're installing out on farm 4. The old ones are just kind of the meter you strap on. Their accuracy is not the best. They're like a 10 to 20% accuracy. These are the hazard meters, so these will be put tied into our existing system. So basically, we have a historic average all the time. That all the water is going out to the surface on farm 4 and 5.
This is our, oh, you got it. It's on my lips. Oh, it's sorry. You guys are messing. Okay, yeah. The Quincy bore is the bore that goes underneath the West Extension, main canal. And so we're happy to report that the bore is complete as of probably this afternoon. The majority of boring operations were completed, the end of last week, but I don't know if they're signing to this well or this. I think the pipe contract will be stuff and, the actual carrier pipe, through the casing pipe, this week.
Someone asked me the source of the water. This is coming from East Beach to the airport, right?
Yes, that's actually coming from bombing range off of CIB line to the airport.
Thank you.
It's irrigation water feeding the new freshwater treatment plant. So it's not potable water going down through there. It is underground water.
Okay. Thank you.
This here is our East Beach Surface Water Treatment Facility. That's the building right over there on the bottom lower right. Most of the wall panels have been installed. They're actually a little bit farther now, I believe. Half the roof panels are installed. They're working on the other side this week. The bottom middle picture and the bottom left picture is the solids holding basin. They're going to start back doing that this next week, and they're probably going to push the concrete off. Actually, pouring the concrete bases in the bottom of it for a few weeks, but whether get a little better, because they're actually doing really good on the schedule on that. That was a pretty heavy lift on getting that completed, so they're actually ahead of schedule on that basin itself. So pushing it back to the weather breaks will help them with the actual concrete work.
Yeah, I think we get a tour inside of that around the 1st of March or we can go in for longer.
No,
I mean, I don't want to shut the project down, just asking it. Get the commission in, because it is huge. It's an impressive project.
Yeah, they're going to actually start doing a lot of the interior framing and stuff on the building. So, just touch base with me a week or so before, and I'll see where they're at. And it's very possible they may have a lot of it completed. I guess we can go real quick. Walk there. Great.
The new electrical building down at East Beach. So an update to the 1 million gallon tank, and we're updating pumps and stuff down there. And this is that's not good. This is the Magox building. So both those last 2 projects, it was all dirt to finish product. It was all our crews, electrical, everything.
Jacob, could you explain to the commission what the Magos actually does for our water? Or, no, hey, we got it, never mind, I didn't. Chad, could you
Yeah, so
touch on that?
Magnesia, like Ross said, is used to help raise our alcohol being on wastewater, which helps the whole process and makes it really just more efficient. We've seen the results from it. It's also gonna help with secondary treatment when that comes online, helping those bugs also keep the right culture and for digester and support the culture that needs to be inside secondary treatment because they require a lot of alkalinity to do the processes. We currently have a regular setup that we're utilizing, so this is one of the way to go because we're going to live on here. So we started some landscape work out at the airport around the new signs. Had to pull off a bit while we did around Weston, but we'll get back on that after next week. So we're gonna have grass and stuff around those signs and lights and more lights on the flags and spruce it up. Hopefully like our last sign, we had a potato truck there, old sign that was out there, so hopefully it's these signs.
This year's Terminal 1 dredging project. Unfortunately, currently, they had a mechanical failure this last week, for the end of last week. I did make contact with them this week. They're anticipating to be back up in parts installed on their machine on Friday. They are going to pull in double shifts for next week to try to make up for the time. I think we got a pretty tight deadline on this one, and it has to be met. So I'm working directly with them, closely with them, tracking their progress. Right now, they're estimating about 8,500 yards of sand still that's been removed out of the terminal, but they still got a ways to go.
Is that first of March or in the March? So
In March 30th, so
you've got a little bit of time.
yeah, we do, but I'm pushing them hard.
They got a lot to do.
Yeah.
They got a lot to do.
Okay, so this is some investigating and geotechnical engineering work that we've been completing, kind of tied to what we talked about earlier, down our base dock at Terminal 3. Historically, there was always some assumptions made, some inaccurate assumptions on where to operate crane in relation to how far from the water and everything. To get more information on what wells we can approve and not approve, we've had to go down and verify size of rods, rod location, the suitability material that's contained behind the wall. And so this was I think our crews were down there doing some excavating for a third party consultant that has more knowledge in the geotechnical world.
So is this that heavy, wide and high dock?
I would say that's our secondary use of it. Right now, with the gantry crane going down to a pretty major failure, Tidewater actually uses this dock as a secondary option to top pick the containers off the barges.
I see.
So that's really the primary function. Secondary function is all the high white heavy loads coming in that are primarily roll on and roll off. They're too heavy to be picked with a crane. So we utilize the dock to do those types of movements.
So this has always been limited, the use of it's always been limited by lack of knowledge of what it's made of?
I'd say more recently limited. As you're well aware, maybe a year and a half ago, we had a pretty major failure behind the wall with some of the rods breaking. And so since that time, we've spent a lot of time making sure that we accurately rate it for what's installed versus what was assumed to be installed.
Do you foresee an expense to improve it then? Or is it gonna stay the same just with limitations?
an expense to improve it.
Or to bolster it, so that we can.
Yeah, so that's our primarily our ask with the earmark funding that Kirby was talking about, our $1.8 million project. And what we're proposing to do is behind the wall, about 20 feet, we're going to drill cylindrical concrete piles down to bedrock. And then cap that with a concrete slab, reinforced concrete slab, so the bridging coming from the barge can rest on that and not apply loads to the back of the wall. But that's really our issue. So that improvement would pretty much negate any future issues with the face off.
Awesome. And thank you for the update. Lots of work going on. That cover maintenance update as well, then,
That pretty much got the water guys are always up and stuff. Landscape, you have the sign thing with Amazon for 1.8 million. So we're going to be putting grass and landscape and around all the lands, Amazon sites. Which are over here in the East Beach area. We're going right now. I don't think we're gonna be much out of the airport that I know of, but
There'll be more rock out there in front of those right of ways instead. Because that's all there is right now. It'll be crushed rock with all their facilities, but.
Okay.
So is that a maintenance for us? Are you
It
just?
is maintenance, but the agreement that we did with Amazon actually includes the maintenance labor for 5 years. And that's how long the agreement's for. So they pay for all the improvements plus our maintenance costs for 5 years. Or in that agreement. So
And we have already paid. And
it's paid in full, right?
And we went through that with Tim, Mark, Brian. Looking at Brian did beautiful landscape design. For our property, and it's gonna change the way that East Beach looks. Something we'll all be very proud of to look at the.
It's been something, I mean, I probably worked on that agreement for 3 years. Before we finally got it ironed out. Right, so.
Thank you. Gonna move on to financial updates.
Okay, the first page, of course, is the cash balance. You will see a drop in unrestricted, that's timing on some work we do, for Amazon. And so we received $6,368,000 after the 6 months. That would have put us just about exactly where we were, a month ago. So we are maintaining the unrestricted. Our restricted is going down as we complete the capital projects that those funds were borrowed for. I did have a question from one of the commissioners about the discharge segment. And the fact that we budgeted for farm revenue of 14 million and we've collected $1.5 million. And then you'll notice down below that we budgeted for 16.7 million in reduced farm costs, and we paid out 4,080,000. Well, we've been billed for 4,083,000. We entered into that farm management agreement right there at budget time and just needed to make sure we were covered, and they're not actually operating the entire farm for this year. So you're really not going to see many other numbers. We have paid out $2.5 million more than we received, and we were expecting to see that. The only other things you'll see is the freshwater personal services are a little on the high side. The discharge personal services are a little on the low side. And that's mainly, my mistake, because when we budgeted, I didn't think about the labor that was going to be needed to complete the, freshwater treatment plants. We haven't. Our total amount of payroll is not different than what we budgeted, it's just the allocation. And that's pretty common here because we don't hire somebody usually just to work freshwater or sites or discharge. They get assigned where they get assigned and they do the time cards and that's where the time gets charged. So I'm not concerned about that fluctuation. But if you do see anything that you're concerned about, or you just have a question about, you can ask me now, or you can always call either Jason or myself during the week.
Are there any questions for Eileen? Thank you. Usage reports, or give you a chance to look at them, do we have questions on them? Thank you for those reports. Any other shout outs? How about other reports? WICFED, BCDA, ICAO?
I wasn't able to write your guys' report in your packet, but at the end of the year, we submitted our annual report to the CROS board. So we may have to review that, use their funds for last year. We're really excited about appreciate you guys' support and the funds for $630,000, and look forward to putting that money to good use. Our main focus is going to be our incubator building along with retail space build. It's going to be about 20,000 square foot building. We're going to be housing some medical offices and some other opportunities in that building. We're in the design phase right now. We're having weekly meetings on getting that developed and finding our cost per square foot. And then that will narrow down what our lease rates are going to look like. And then we can have more conversations on getting tenants in the position where they can start doing interior work with our contractors. So that's going to be going along. We allocated $320,000 to go towards recreation for next year in our budget. And we're going to put $100,000 into education projects, and we're going to do $305,000 into our community development, which includes our home buyers incentive. This year we actually exceeded, or this last year we exceeded our home buyer incentive program. As you can see, houses are moving here. We have a new development that came online. They're doing the infrastructure report right now by Baylor and Chevrolet. And that's going to be a big expansion. And then we allocated $2 million into the retail build along with the $1.5 million. Total project cost is $6 million for our retail build. So we have, and then we also allocated some dollars for the pickleball court along with my PERS funds, with the kind of providing us to support the development of our pickleball court with the city of Urban. So our projects ahead of us.
How many homes is the Chaparral project?
I want to say I heard around 60. I think 60. I think it's around 60 homes in that project.
And they're fairly large lot sizes.
Yeah, they're the standard lot size of the city has standard, yeah.
Yeah.
I've been going around looking for some new developers. There's a couple new developers in the Thomas area that I reached out with them last weekend. Driving some properties over there they're building. And the size of homes that we are getting here are about an 8 to 1,000 square feet more than what they're getting in Hermiston. Besides, the lots are bigger and bigger yards. Layout in general is just bigger. And they're not quite so cookie cutter. Our homes have a little bit more distinction to them, and they're not cookie cutter and have, like, even if it is a cookie cutter, it has more facade in the front and gives it not that cookie cutter, like Hayden home style build. If you get more of a like a front entryway stuff. So I did reach out and found a new developer, and he's pretty interested in Boardman. He's trying to get a property sold in Spokane. As soon as he gets a property sold in Spokane, he's looking to come and develop and build here. He's gonna take that money and invest in our community here.
Probably not the appropriate venue, but I did go to a basketball game in Stanfield And I was shocked to see those houses. I had not been there, so I've heard about them, but when you see them, it's like.
They're
oh.
stacked on top of each other and you're share sugar with your neighbor by your window, from window to window. It's like, they're stacked in there. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's one thing. Excellent. But we passed Tori up there. One thing on our agenda that I probably should have added is Rob is for our cousin meeting coming up.
Yeah.
Would you mind giving a brief an update of where we're at?
Yeah. I love you,
I'm so sorry.
and it's over.
It might be our last time though.
Well, we'll have a few more, but it'll take us a bit. Broadband Consortium, we are excited to say that they are going to, they say they have funded the projects in the state of Oregon, which is exciting. There was 2 projects done in Morrow County. One will be, given to Windway, the other one for the north part of the county. The second one will be done in Starlink. We, as the Broadband Consortium, we were not, able to apply for a grant for a project in our area due to not having enough fiscal audit reports in our for our consortium. So that being said, we were not able to apply, but we are going to support, and we have additional funds left in our account, and we're looking at ways to disperse those funds to support ISPs in our area that did get funded and other ISPs who are providing broadband access internet to communities in Morrow County. And that will be, once we do that, we're happy to say that we'll be dissolving the Morrow County broadband. I mean, unfortunately for me, because it's been a passion thing for me for almost 6 years. But we did get a pretty good portion of Morrow County covered with fiber broadband or some kind of source of internet through these couple different ways of internet. Starlink, I think, is gonna be a great option for South County because cost per mile is substantial in fiber world. I don't know if anybody's interested in the amount, but cost to put fiber in the ground. And when you run 20 miles or 50 miles sometimes in that area and you have nobody linking onto that, there is no return on that investment. So Starlink is gonna be a great option out in that area. Unfortunately, it's not a local entity that got the bid, but I guess we have to take the wins where we can get them, and the win there is that they're in service, so we're excited about that.
Thank you very much, Troy. Sorry to put you on the spot. Any other reports? How about we give the order? Upcoming events, we have March 11th, 1:30 p.m. for a regular commission meeting. March 15th, SEI filing window opens. So just a reminder that board commissioners need to list our state lobbyists on their SEI filings. So Eileen, I might ask a favor of you.
No, we looked into that last year, and you personally, it would just be if you personally pay the lobbyists. It's not the court's lobbyists.
Okay.
We did.
Well, I filed.
So did I.
Put them all on.
We put them all on, yeah. I think you sent us the list.
Well, you asked for the list, and so I picked up the phone and called them, and I believe I reported last year. But they said, no, you don't need to. But I'm more than happy to ask that question again. So I did take some training this last week, and they assured us that for the SEI filers, so you guys, that they would be having training about every other day starting March 15th. So they encouraged you to sign up, log into your thing, and so that you could ask any questions you might have of them.
Okay.
I think we need to
Yeah.
add that. There's one thing we need to add, John, and that's other. And this basically go on new business. So we've been reached out to and asked to give an intent to deliver water to the old city property on Tower Road. There's 310 acres, 306 acres of space age industrial property that have transferred hands. The new owners would like a letter of intent from the port to deliver water there someday. It's a non-binding letter of intent. They need that to get through, basically get through zoning if they were agreeing with the change. So, up for discussion.
Do we have the water?
Yes.
Okay.
Like non-binding.
Yeah, it's. We've done these in the past.
Right. They use it to help you get the permitting and development.
Yeah.
So is it to assume it's coming out of the line that we're already?
No, it will go to, more than likely, this is all preliminary right now, guys, because we don't have an agreement at all. This is just a non-binding intent. It would actually probably go, and I know what engineers figures out, go to our freshwater treatment plant and then go back. It's right across the road. So we probably more than likely would be delivering or potable water back from the airport water treatment plant. Okay. It's actually right across the street from our property on Tower.
How much water are you talking about?
They're asking for 26 million gallons a year.
And it's gonna be non-potable?
No, it will be potable.
That we were, once, I thought it was,
It will be coming back from our potable water treatment plant. So we would be selling them potable water. We would want to, it's the rate that we would want to charge.
What about, we're trying to save water coming back from that plant? Is that, I mean, wastewater, industrial wastewater, is there industrial wastewater or?
Off of our,
And possible bill if there were development?
that would be something that they would have to possibly work out with us and work out.
Okay, that's not a responsibility of ours.
It's not a responsibility of ours, just we decided to take it on.
A little background is the property transferred, then they came and talked to us.
Right. Yeah.
And it is next development, not anything that Jerry is related to.
Yeah.
Okay.
say
And
that
it's the
again.
space age industrial zoning that is.
It is space age industrial.
It's that old zoning.
It's.
Next
So
development, NEX development.
yeah,
What did they develop?
that's it.
It's a development company, Kansas, Washington.
Yeah.
That's,
I have not seen anything they've gotten
that's all.
that we know of.
So this amount of water would put us at risk of not having enough water in the future with it.
So 26 million gallons a year, the plant we're installing now has capacity 10,000 gallons a minute. And 26 million is 50 gallons a minute. Yeah. Over the duration.
And have we, didn't we give another agreement to go out farther with some of that water as well?
Yeah, but we're still covered there because all those are limited to, and it's up to that amount. So when we get those intents out there, it's up to them to put enough storage in. And then us to schedule water to be delivered a certain amount of times to each one of these different facilities.
So this would be using infrastructure that we've already planning to install, but we would make money on the use of that infrastructure.
Okay, so just 26 million gallons at our current rate of $8.20 per thousand gallons, that's $213,000 a year.
A year, right, okay. Yeah, that's just one of the two facilities that we promised water to. Right.
Well, I'm not a big fan because we live right next door. to it. We just built a brand new house there and not really thrilled with that development being so close to. All right,
Well, there's a time to fight that way.
yeah,
I agree. I'm afraid I see it as an income stream that we might have.
I don't see the downfall if we're able to provide the service. That it's already going to be in the ground, so we're not, I mean, other than maybe coming back with fresh water. The infrastructure is already gonna be there. I really don't know this, I don't see it at this point.
I got a question, it's land use question maybe, how are we getting around? Goal 2, being a municipality, sort of, you know, pushing out this water to other people without being in a urban or in a incorporated area.
So the airport specifically, as it relates to how I messed up my goals. I thought it's goal 3, goal 11, and goal 14.
Maybe it is 3.
Because the industrial zoning was established in report 2001, there's an exemption.
Is that for the port or that doesn't include space age industrial?
Runs the land. So the one goal that's at the airport that we might want to happen to get, if we ever try to ship wastewater or sanitary sewer away from the property that we own, we would probably have to go through a goal 3.
Yeah.
But since it's self-contained on the acreage that was industrial zone before that date, we have a solution.
So we're talking about going across the street to a different zone.
And distributing water, and urban scale water services are not subjected to the rule. It's primarily, that specific goal is focused on wastewater and sanitary sewer.
I'm not sure I agree with that, but I'll look it up.
Jerry has the knowledge on it too, is that right?
Well, just about, yeah, I agree with what you just said, the industrial, the old industrial zoning is predates the law, so. And it's not, probably not right use, whatever they're trying to propose. So.
Not an outright use, but. Okay.
So if you need a letter of intent, isn't a commitment? I'm going to get to this.
It's a non-binding.
Non-binding, okay.
Well, they've got a lot, they've got a long list of those. But they even get this on the spot.
For example, are there other investments in buildings, they pay for the infrastructure, that can be part of the letter of intent, that they have to pay for the infrastructure, or is that something we have?
We would never pay for the infrastructure.
All right.
Your policy.
That, we don't pay for infrastructure anymore.
All right, good, okay, thank you, just check.
All the clients pay for infrastructure, whether, even if it's a smaller one, you know.
Okay, thanks.
Yeah.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I will move that we authorize for staff to negotiate a non-binding agreement with next
Generation.
generation.
Yeah,
Next
Next Generations LLC.
I'll second it.
We have a motion in a second. I'm not going to restate the motion if that's all right. Is there any further discussion or questions? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Okay, opposed, same sign, passes. Okay, thank you.
And this is something that we typically haven't brought to the commission for approval on a non-binding letter of intent, but we know that this is of interest to everyone in the room, and we want to make sure that we're all talking about it.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Anything else in good order or otherwise? Do we have an executive session topics that we do? All right. Before we'll recess the regular session, go into executive session I'll read the executive session language. The board will hold an executive session meeting for permissible reasons stated below under ORS 192-6602. Representatives of the news media and designated staff and other persons shall be allowed to attend the executive session. The public virtual Zoom meeting link will be paused during the executive session, as permissible executive session meetings are not subject to HB 2560. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in this executive session. At the end of the executive session, we will return to the room, start the public virtual Zoom meeting link again, open the regular session meeting. Reasons for executive session. A, for the purpose of consideration and deliberations of the court's executive director and other staff members who have been designated by the court to negotiate real property transactions, ORS 192-6602E. And B, for the purpose of consultation with counsel concerning the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed, ORS 192-6602H. At this time, we are going to take 5-minute break. And we'll go into executive session. Thank you, everybody. We have all the needed people. Okay, we're going to call the regular session back into order. Is there any business to come before the commission before we close?
I believe so.
Okay, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everyone.